And welcome to Just a Couple of Guys, coming to you from Rookie's All-American Pub and Grill in St. Charles.
Do not be alarmed. It's just a couple of guys. Who are these guys? Ray Regina, beloved former mayor of St. Charles, lifetime educator, and Pat Crimmins, a Geneva lawyer, but he's actually okay. From Elgin to Aurora, from Naperville to Elburn, these guys are gonna talk everything. So, here's Pat and Ray.
And we're here, Pat, in Rookie's All-American Pub and Grill, live, 6 o'clock Monday night here in St. Charles. And I think it's only fitting that we introduce ourselves, obviously. My partner here, Pat Crimmins, and yours truly, Ray Regina.
Welcome, everybody.
And we're really pleased to be here tonight. And I think before we get started, we want to send some thank yous out. First of all, to the voice that they just heard, Laura Spencer. She's the voice of the podcast.
That's right.
Then we have the mechanic who's been walking around here taking care of things, Kevin Ketchum, and our crafty producer over here, Paul Stukel, who not only runs things but also is the CEO of Fox Valley Magazine, which we all enjoy. We started last spring. We've done 30 plus podcasts. It's our 6th month. You have an evaluation?
The holidays are approaching. We're all very excited. We've come a long way, Ray, I think, from Jim Belushi until today. I believe we've lasted this long.
Well, we want to thank the Karis people. They've been not only gracious sponsors for us, but now they open up their doors to this beautiful place. It is a sports bar. The TVs, those of you who have not come out here, you need to come out because we'll talk to Bob later on, and I'm going to ask him how many different games he shows on Sunday. And speaking of the game tonight, Bears versus the Pats, first of all, for those of you out there that may have an app on your phone and you're checking things out, this game opened at the Bears +5. It's now the Bears and 8.5. So obviously the money is chasing the Pats.
Yes.
It's chasing the Pats. The over and under is 40. I think there's a reason for that.
Yes.
They expect light rain in Foxborough tonight.
Well, and the Bears really only have a running game, so the rain might inhibit their ability to do anything.
We'll talk a little bit later on who we think might win this game or not. But
sure.
Anyway.
But let me say this. There's quite a vibe here tonight. So there's a good crowd, and he remodeled, and it's absolutely beautiful. There's a beautiful outdoor seating area, and hopefully he can use some of that before the weather changes. It's nice.
He's going to put heaters out there and be outside all winter.
Yes. Well, we'll certainly recommend that to him.
Well, Monday Night Football means a lot of things, and of course, what it also means is that 52 years of a tradition comes and goes every Monday night. And I guess for starters, I'd ask this question: what year did we start Monday Night Football?
Well, it had to be in the early 70s, right?
1970 to be exact.
Right. I was 9 years old.
Do you remember the first game, though?
I don't remember the teams, but I remember being there. The music, the whole 9 yards, I was in.
Jets with Joe Namath played the Browns on that September 21st evening in 1970. And the announcers, that's not bringing them up here now because I'm going to ask you a question about the announcers. But the announcers that were none other than Wool Nelly himself, Keith Jackson.
I love Keith Jackson.
Along with Dandy Don Meredith, and of course Howard Cosell. As we speak here, Ryan Crimmins has walked into the house.
Yeah, the son, the voice here. He's casting a shadow on us here.
Anyway, I got to ask this question. We had 10 play-by-play men on Monday Night Football for 2 years,
right? And
24 color commentators.
It's amazing.
Who was your favorite play-by-play? Who was your favorite color commentator?
Well, I think I'll go old school on the play and go with Frank Gifford. I enjoyed everything he did. His voice was calm, and he obviously had the knowledge, and he worked well in the booth. with whomever else was there.
And if you had to pair him with somebody, who would you pair him with?
I'd go with the originals, Howard and Dandy Don Meredith, of course.
Well, I'm a little bit old school, but a little bit only because he's been around for a long time. He's still broadcasting on Thursday night. But I like Al Michaels myself.
Sure.
He's got a golden voice, and as far as color, man, nobody topped your guy, the Raiders, John Madden.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at this list of different announcers, Gifford and Michaels, as you talked about. But the last couple of years, we really had all the big turnover. We had Joe Buck on Monday night, but before him was Steve Lee, Sean McDonough, and of course Mike Tirico. Some of these people that are
Right.
Fred Williamson, the Alex Karras, Mongo himself, Fran Tarkenton, and of course, but he obviously he graduated from college the same year I did. O.J. Simpson.
OJ. Well, he had a couple of bad years.
Yes, a couple of bad years. Joe Namath jumped into the booth, as well as Joe Theismann, and I could go on, but in any event. Now, our producer, Paul Stukel, he asked me if I would highlight my 3 favorite games over 52 years. Well, I don't know if I got necessarily pinpointed them exactly. So I went and I got a cheat sheet out and looked at a number of different games that were very exciting, and I picked 3. And for our audience back home, I'd like you to watch my rendition of my top 3 Monday night games with a little Chris Berman built in there.
Stumbling, bumbling, rumbling.
Number 3, October 16, 2006. Bears down 20 to start the fourth quarter. Scored 2 defensive touchdowns in the desert against the Cardinals. And then Devin Hester on a punt return for his own 18-yard line. And he could go all the way. 82 yards and a Bears win. Carr's coach, Dennis Erickson, in a post-game rant. Crowned their asses. They were who we thought they were. We let them off the hook. Number 2, November 30th, 1987, Kingdom in the Emerald City of Seattle. 2 sports superstar Bo Jackson bursts around the end like an Olympic track star, dashes 91 yards for a touchdown run into the end zone, into the tunnel, and heads to Tacoma. Los Angeles Raiders defeat the Seahawks. Number 1, September 24th, 2012, CenturyLink Field in Seattle. The infamous Hail Mary. Russell Wilson heaves a 40-yard prayer into the end zone on the last play, hauled down by Notre Dame's own Golden Tate of the Seahawks. Or was it MJ Jennings of the Packers? Replacement refs say touchdown Hawks. Controversy reigns. Bear fans nationwide rejoice. Hello, friends. This is Ray Rogina. I've been talking about my good friend Bob Karras and how great his Rookies restaurants are. But today, I want to talk about 2 other Karras Restaurant Group venues, the Village Squire Restaurants and Old Republic Kitchen and Bar. Beginning Monday, September 12th, and lasting all month, the Village Squire Restaurants in Elgin, Dundee, McHenry, and Crystal Lake will be celebrating Greek Fest with delicious, authentic Greek dishes like souvlaki, gyros, pistachio, and of course my favorite, saganaki, hoopa, and lots more. So head on down to the Village Squire and get your Greek on. And starting Friday, September 16th, at Old Republic Kitchen and Bar in Elgin, Oktoberfest comes early with corn dogs, bratwurst, and of course, das Schnitzel. Wash it down with beers from their beer garden in souvenir beer steins. Achtung! So take advantage of the season and head on over to the Village Squire Restaurants and Old Republic Kitchen and Bar. I'll see you there.
American Pub and Grill in St. Charles. We have taken a random guest from the audience. There's another random guest coming in.
How's it going?
Charlie, I want to introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, Pat, Ray. Charlie Holtz. I actually graduated from St. Charles High School. Actually, was fortunate enough to have Ray as one of my teachers back
There you
then.
go. Another former student.
Yes.
Nice.
So,
Well, we thought we'd bring you up to talk all things Chicago Bears because I know that you're a Bear fan. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you became a Bear fan and how long you've been a Bear fan, that kind of thing.
guys, I guess I've been a Bear fan as long as I can remember. Time I was a little kid till now. I was a former season ticket holder for 25 years. John Fox kind of discouraged me from that anymore, so I gave him up about the second year after John Fox, and then fortunately he got fired the following year. So,
Hey, Charlie, I have a question on that
Sure.
season ticket thing. At some point, the Bears asked you season ticket holders to put up some money, a personal license, if you will, just to get the tickets. Is that correct?
that is correct, but I had been a fan long enough where I didn't have to. I avoided the PSL. The benefit of the PSL was if you could put it in your will, you could donate them to other people, or hand them down to your kids. Without a PSL, you weren't allowed to do that. So
And before we go back to Pat, what was your location? Where were you sitting at?
I was in the northwest corner,
All right.
I think
about on the goal line.
I think I sat in those seats a few times.
You
I think,
were there a few times.
due to your
Yes.
generosity.
Yes.
So 25 years as season ticket holder. I imagine during the course of that time you saw some great games.
We did, definitely.
Give us the best game you saw, as if you can remember.
Yeah, it's probably, I can still remember one of the better games I went to. A regular season game was when the Bears were playing the Packers. I think it was a Monday night game. I think Fridge was a rookie. He scored a touchdown that night, and he also took George Cumbie and drove him into the end zone about 5 yards on a block.
Right.
And Peyton scored.
Right. Yeah, that was a
Um,
hell of a game.
That was a great game. I can remember championship game when they put New Orleans, and I think Reggie Bush was kind of mocking. God help me out, linebacker 54.
What?
For who?
The Bears, Urlacher. I'm sorry, gosh,
It's hell to grow old.
it is, and mocking me as he was running for a touchdown, and then New Orleans was solely dominating the Bears, and after that, the Bears came back to win it.
Right. Now, the thing about Soldier Field, there's weather issues.
Yes.
I'm sure in 25 years you came across some weather, cold games, wet games, whatever. Give us an idea of the worst game you ever sat in.
Oh, I think it was like probably 1986, somewhere in there. They were playing the Redskins in the playoffs. It was so cold that I think at the time that day we were tailgating, I was drinking Heineken. As soon as you opened the bottle, it instantly froze. That was probably the coldest game I've ever been to.
You'd think, isn't that a Canadian beer?
Actually, that's
No.
yeah.
Were you at the Fog Bowl?
I was not at the Fog Bowl. No, I missed that game. I was actually up north skiing in snowmobile that weekend, so
And
I
how
missed
about
that
the
one.
Monday night game when I think they honored Dick Butkus? George Ryan called him Dick Butka.
Yeah,
And
yep.
it was pouring rain the whole. Were you there?
I was at that game. It took us about 2 hours to get there. One of our friends, Skinner, that Pat knows, as soon as we got out of the car, he's like, I'll maybe see you guys in the game. I'm gonna walk towards the stadium, but I'm just gonna walk back to the train station. He was the smartest guy in our whole group.
Yeah.
The rest of us, I think, stayed till about halftime. We were just soaked. It was like in the high 30s, low 40s that night. It was brutal, but we had to stay for the ceremony.
So there is tailgating, and you guys were expert at it, right?
Yes, we were.
And tell us a little bit about the kind of food you'd make yourselves.
Oh gosh, we usually got there like 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. We'd have anywhere from the standard fare, burgers, brats. Sometimes we'd have breakfast. All depending on how elaborate we want to get.
And I imagine you started the cocktails right around the same time.
Cocktails were always before even actually. Sometimes even on the way there with a Bloody Mary.
Now you no longer have season tickets. How do you watch the Bears now?
Actually, most of the games I probably watch at home. To be honest with you, I enjoy just being able to get a beer when I want, go to the bathroom when I want, sit on the couch.
Sure.
But I also enjoy like on night games coming out like some place like Rookies and having a beer and watching the game.
You've been to many games over the course of a pretty good span of time.
Sure.
If I putting you in a spot, if I ask you to identify your top 5 Bear players of all time, that you watched,
that I watched,
yeah, who would they be?
Sure, that would be Buckus, Sayers, Hampton, Peyton, and Wilbur Marshall.
Huh? I don't think you mentioned any quarterbacks in there, did you?
No.
Unfortunately, the Bears have been a pretty bad position for the Bears.
There's a dry span on the quarterbacks.
Very long dry spell.
One of the things that's unique for you, I think, Charlie, is that you went to college, University of Wisconsin at Platteville, and then eventually did their summer training up at Platteville. And we went up there and enjoyed that. Tell the folks a little bit about that.
Sure. I graduated in 1980. The Bears started coming to Platteville in 1984. I was fortunate. I was a member of the Delta Sigma Phi fraternity, and they had a house there. And during the summers, there's only like maybe 4 or 5 guys living there. So we would grow up with a group of guys from our area. That, of course, went my brother Jerry and a few other guys. And we always made sure we picked the weekend that they had the inter-squad game,
right?
Because we learned that weekend they did not have any curfew on Saturday night after the game. So all the Bear players would come out and party with us. One kind of a neat story is I was a bartender when I was going to school up there, one of the more popular places called the Studio at the time.
Oh, yeah.
And so we would reserve a table there. And one night we're at our table, and the owner come up to me and goes, "Hey, Charlie," he goes, "Hey, would you mind if Hampton and McMichael and Fridge and their wife sat with you guys tonight?" I go, "Not at all. That'd be awesome. Bring it on."
Yeah.
So now he didn't mention the Fridge is one of his all-time favorites, but I have to think he's probably one of your favorite personalities.
He was, yeah. He was a great guy.
And let's not lose sight of this. I think people do lose sight of this. Hell of a football player.
Oh, he was.
Hell of an athlete too. He could move like a Rick Russell.
And if I remember right, he could even dunk a basketball.
Yes.
And he wasn't all that tall.
With all this scuttlebutt going on about the Bears, Soldier Field, which you kind of said you like, but you don't like, I don't know. Now the talk about going to Arlington Heights. You're a longtime Bear fan. You've had season tickets. So I think you're in a pretty good objective state to say, answer this question. Do you want him to go to Arlington Heights or not?
Although I enjoyed the view from my seats, I was overlooked Lake Michigan, the skyline of Chicago and all that. I would have loved it if they would have been in Arlington Heights the whole time. It was just getting to Soldier Field, the parking around there. I mean, we actually tailgated in a private lot towards the end because you couldn't get parking around Soldier Field. It was just a nightmare. And so, yes, I think it's a great move that they're going to Arlington Heights.
And my last question on that whole thing is, given what you see as a structure of Soldier Field currently, does it make sense to you that they might do something if they were to stay in Chicago to put a dome in there or do some kind of revamping to make it a better stadium?
As far as if the Bears would entice the Bears to stay there?
They stood there, yeah. Does it make sense to you?
No, it doesn't. Really doesn't. I still think they'd be way better off to go to Arlington Heights. And I think they'd it'd be awesome if they would do a retractable roof there and go that route and spend the extra money.
Well, it does beg the question. Let's say they go to Arlington Heights and they have a world-class stadium. Would you consider for season tickets?
I hadn't thought of that, but that might be an option, yes.
And we're hoping you get the PSL so you can will them to me. I enjoyed my time in Platteville. It was a great time. We interacted with players. We drank with players. Maury Buford, the punter, was out punting at 4 a.m. There's guys on scooters, Jim McMahon. It was just a great time.
Kenny Marjoram,
we enjoyed the heck out of it. And I was able to play catch with Walter a little bit out there, so we enjoyed it.
Is that when he was shooting the gun at your
he was shooting the gun at my duck.
Pass?
The footballs that these guys used were twice as big as a normal football.
Let me ask a question before we ask you. We're going to get to our next segment here. But before we let you go, I'd ask this question. Did Crimmins ever run up any big tabs while he was up there in Platteville? And if he did he pay him?
He did actually have some big tabs, and as far as I know, he did pay him. I don't think last time I was up in Platteville this past spring, they weren't looking for him still, so I think he's off the hook.
By the way, I am an honorary member of the Delta Six.
I was going to say that. Yes, that's very true. Yep.
So there's that.
One thing, and I will say,
sponsor.
Look at this. We've got our producer receiving, as we speak, we got our producer,
Very nice.
a nice cocktail from one of the fine waitresses here at Rookies.
Yes.
Charlie, that's fine. I want to thank you for moving us through this segment. I don't think, Charlie, we could have found a better representative here in the crowd than Charlie as far as representing a
You
bear
could
face.
search long and tall. You're not going to find anybody like Charlie. Charlie exudes the Chicago Bears.
All right.
What do you got? A prediction for tonight?
unfortunately, I think it's going to be a long night.
Yes.
Yes.
Long night. He doesn't want to give the number, but he says a long
But
night.
I do feel that.
Note to all you bettors out there, this guy knows what he's talking about.
But I do have to say with Eberflus, I think they're going in the right direction.
I think so too. Thanks, Charlie.
Thank you guys very much. Good seeing you.
Thanks,
All
Charlie.
right.
Our next segment, and this is one that we have regularly on our show, and I should introduce our friends to it, but we got a little introduction to this thing. So I'm simply going to say our next segment here is called Stop Yourself. He's going to give us a signal.
From Florida man to singing muskrats,
Stop yourself.
here's all the news that's honestly unfit to print.
Now, Pat, as you know, Stop Yourself is a segment we have on our regular podcast. We talk about strange events, strange things that happen in and around the country and the world.
Because when you think of strange, you think of Ray and Pat.
Exactly. Tonight, we're going to have a special edition of Stop Yourself, in which we talk a little bit about strange things that have happened both on Monday night and in the NFL in general. And I want to start with one that doesn't, by the way, when we talk about these things, we're not going to be showing you these. We're going to just be talking about it. But we're going to make reference to where you can find these, some of them, because some of them are pretty funny. The first one is simply entitled, and you can Google this, Howard Cosell is a drunk. Now, it was known that Howard did, in fact, imbibe. Not like us. We're not imbibing while we're doing this.
Oh, Mai Tai.
Well, yes, but
famous Mai Tais here at Rookies.
Anyway, Howard drank vodka. So the story goes, one night, though, in the early years of Monday Night Football, Howard actually got a little bit too tipsy, and he vomited on Don Meredith's cowboy boots. Now, Don, of course, I think he took it in stride, but I will say that you can Google Howard Cosell is a drunk, and you'll get to see him slurring his words on at least 2 or 3 different segments of Monday Night Football. Howard was kind of you asked the question before we went on, is Howard color commentator as opposed to what? A critic?
Well, play-by-play. I think he did some play.
He did very much play-by-play. But
I think so.
All right, our next entry on Stop Yourself is something that I think a lot of good football fans have already seen, but it would be remiss if we didn't point it out. And this is called the infamous butt fumble. Google butt fumble, and you'll get it right away. And this play has its own Wikipedia page, I might add.
Just so we're clear, that's B-U-T-T.
B-U-T-T.
Right.
The 2012 season was a bit of a low point for the Jets. And it never got any worse than Thanksgiving Day of 2012 in a game where the Jets played the New England Patriots, the Bears' opponent tonight. And quarterback Mark Sanchez did something so crazy that it has its own Wikipedia page. On 1st and 10 from their own 30, Sanchez snaps the ball, then completely botched the fake toss handoff. So now he's trying to recover it. And on this broken play, he rushes forward and slides face first directly into the ample derriere of his own right guard, Brandon Moore. Ball pops loose, and the Pats recover for a touchdown. What may be the funniest play in league history, so much so that the ESPN was contractually obligated to run that highlight at least once per day for 5 years.
You know, as I recall, Mark Sanchez was described as a quarterback as being anal. he followed all the teachings and the coachings and such.
Now,
Yes.
I know you have a few friends that are Minnesota Viking fans.
Oh, there's a few, yeah.
Yes, and this one here, I think this is called "The Clock Runs Out on Minnesota." Now, you would think people are paid high salaries, not like us. People pay high salaries. They might get fired for something like this. In the 2003 draft, the Vikings had the 7th overall pick. And I guess they forgot that the draft has a clock on it. So let the clock expire, and who sneaks in and picks ahead of them but the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Carolina Panthers. So when you get clowned by the Jaguars, it's time to, hang them up, if you will.
I think they're still 0-4 in Super Bowls, aren't they?
The
Vikings.
The Vikings are 0-4, and the Bills are 0-4.
And we're hoping that if our teams don't win, that the Bills win.
Oh, well, we'll get to that in a little bit. The third one, before we go to year two, this one here, in 1932, get ready for this. The Bears.
I was a mere child.
Yes. The Bears tied 3 games in a row. The first 3 games of the season, all by the same score, 0-0.
I don't understand how that happens.
Well, how about this? In the 4th game, they lost their only game of the year to the Packers, 2-0.
Ah, so there was some scoring.
Well, there were 3 more ties during the year. Their record for 1932 was 7 wins, 1 loss, and 6 ties. Now, I want you to, that 0-0 for the first 3 games, what befuddles me is they had Bronco Nagurski and Red Grange on their team.
I don't understand. Did they not pass the ball back then? Was that before the forward pass?
A lot of rushing yardage. I will tell you this. The games, of course, are played in Wrigley Field. And thank you. And I will tell you that some of the teams they played against are very interesting. This is the NFL in 1932. They played their crosstown rival, the Cardinals, twice.
Right.
The Portsmouth Spartans, the Staten Island Stapletons, the Brooklyn Dodgers, who played in Ebbets Field. Really, they had a Brooklyn Dodgers baseball and football. Anyway, the Bears played Portsmouth for the championship that year. It was going to be so cold at Wrigley Field. In 1932, they transferred the championship game to the Chicago Stadium, where the Blackhawks were playing.
Oh, my goodness.
So we're inside, 11,000 people in this, and a few punts hit the Blackhawks sign and the organ.
Did they take the flooring off so everybody could play on the ice?
Apparently it was slippery. The ice was below the whatever.
Right, yes.
Those are my 3. You got a couple?
Oh, my goodness. The NFL obviously has had a storied history, and I just picked a couple. One, of course, I want to do a little bit about Bill Belichick. He's coaching the Patriots tonight.
And in fact, he's going to break Papa Bear's number of wins record. If he wins tonight, he'll be second all time to Don Shula.
But on behalf of the estate of Papa Bear, I would say that there are a few asterisks in those wins of Bill Belichick. There's been some allegations of cheating. So I think if you take away those allegations, then I think Papa Bear's still a winner. But there is the game where Belichick thought he was a genius and he was going to outfox everybody.
Who are they playing in this particular game?
I believe this was against the Jets, a division rival. And they went into overtime, and he decided to kick off.
Wait a minute. He wins the toss?
He wins the toss, and he kicks off.
Well, back then, I don't think there was the rules you have now. Whoever scored first won.
Right, that's
Why
right.
would you not take the ball?
He must have thought, in the genius that he is, that his defense was in better position than the offense. But anyways,
What happened, Pat?
What happened is the Jets went down and scored without any hesitation.
This is Belichick, who's going for second place all-time wins.
No, that's not to detract from the fact that he is a good coach, except when he was with the Browns. And then all of a sudden, the genius just didn't work. Something happened over at the Browns.
Let me say this. I don't think anybody who coaches the Browns shows any genius.
Okay.
Note to all Browns fans out there.
And then a game that's still PTSD. I'm a Raider fan, as people might know. And I used to live out in the Bay Area. And there's a game called the Immaculate Reception.
1974, as I recall.
1974 against the Steelers. The Raiders had a variety of difficulties to get over the hump, to get into the Super Bowl. And this game kind of started that difficulty. Anyways, there was a play, last second, Terry Bradshaw going back, throws it up in the air. Jack Tatum hits the receiver, and the ball hits off the receiver. And then Franco Harris, the running back for the Steelers, catches it and runs in for a touchdown, and the Steelers win. A couple stories there. Back then, it was illegal for two offensive players to touch a ball at the same time and score. So the ball went off of Frenchie Fuqua and was caught by Franco Harris. So that was an illegal play.
So right away, there should have been a flag or something.
Right. That was an illegal play. Should have been no touchdown. Everybody focuses on whether Franco caught the ball, but he clearly caught the ball. That's not an issue for me. But that play was illegal back then. There's another story that John Madden likes to tell.
By the way, no replay.
No replay. John Madden likes to tell the story of before the call was made for a touchdown, a referee went into the dugout at Three Rivers and called the local police and said, hey, by the way, how many cops can you get down here? Assuming that I make this call, how many cops can you get down here to protect us? And the chief of police said 2 or something. So the ref came out, and that was a touchdown. John Madden tells that story, and he says it's verified by fullback Marv Hubbard. So those are the stories that I would recall from the great days of the NFL. But the Raiders had many great games, and there have been many games.
Now, before we go to break, note to our producer, before we go to break, I'll ask one more question. I have seen on Facebook, with hello Facebook friends, I've seen on Facebook numerous times a picture of you, your brothers, various other people with Jack Tatum. They call me assassin. Yes, a wonderful guy. And we met him out there a few times, and during Raider, whatever you want to call it, all the Raiders were out there. Jim Otto, various others. You never belonged to the Black Hole, did you? No, that's very expensive tickets at the end zone. But we've gone to games there, and it was a scary place. I had a friend in San Diego that said when the Raider fans came to San Diego people left town. Right. Well, it's time for a break because we have a lot of good sponsors who bring these podcasts to you. So we're going to take that break. And when we return, we got the man who runs this operation here. That's right. None other than Bob Karras. He'll be sitting over there, and we'll talk a little about rookies and what he's done here and all the good fun you can have at rookies. We'll be right back.
At McNally Heating and Cooling, we understand that customer satisfaction starts with arriving at your home on time. Your service technician will apply the same attention to detail and quality workmanship to every job, large or small. We offer upfront, honest pricing, and we'll make sure the job gets done right from start to finish. From furnace and air conditioning service, minor repairs, or total equipment replacement, we do it all. Give us a call or find us online and let the luck of the Irish work for you.
Several other establishments, which we'll talk about in a minute. Bob Karras. Bob, how are you tonight?
Hello. How are you?
Good.
Great to see you again.
Thanks for your hospitality already.
Likewise.
And the place is packed, and we're looking forward to the Bear game.
Thank you.
I want to start the questioning by asking very simply, how long does this remodel take? I was in here many times before the remodel, and you thought, how long did it take? I'm not going to ask you how much money you spent, but how long did it take, and what improvements exist?
It took like 3 months. We did double the work that we thought and double the costs. So
It's always the way, isn't it?
Yeah. So we ended up removing the ceiling, exposing the trusses and everything. All new booths, tables, chairs, new audio, video. That was expensive.
Yes.
See all the TVs.
I'm looking around here, and I see TVs and more TVs and more TVs. So I'm going to ask this question: for the real football fan, you know how they can bet on their apps and so on and so forth. When games go off on Sunday, and for that matter on Saturday, college football, you show almost all the games in here?
We do. And
very nice.
We have all the packages. We have certain spots where we put certain games. We still do that. With New York was in the corner. Used to have this guy named New York Jim. Always had the New York Jets on this TV.
I could be the Raiders, Jim.
Yeah, you could be the Las Vegas guy.
I like this because I always
we have another man stepping into the booth.
You need to introduce him.
Please,
Yeah.
Bob, would you introduce your
This
friend?
is my partner and brother, Mike Maritas.
Mike.
Yes.
Pleasure to have you here, sir.
Oh,
Thanks for
thank
having
you for
us.
having me here.
Yeah, Mike's here every day.
So on Saturday for college games, we got a myriad of college games being shown.
Yes, Mike would know more. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
we got all the college games, and now we're even starting up with some college alumni. They've been coming in and asking if we can get their game, and they do this little Facebook email, and all of a sudden it's 5 people, 15, 20
Very
people
nice.
now. So that's really hitting up pretty good now.
Very nice. Very
Yeah.
nice. I'm not sure there's that many places in St. Charles or in the Valley that have that kind of exposure with that.
I don't think
There's
so.
a few, but I'm just saying, I think that for the true sports fan, they're going to get their fill right over here.
Yeah. Sometimes now, too, with the streaming, you can get obscure games, like you said. Somebody that went to Niagara College.
Well, I'm looking around here on your walls here, and you do post all the odds of various games. What's
That's
for
for
the
entertainment
friendly better,
purposes
that's
only.
important.
For entertainment purposes.
Only.
Now the question is, you've got a key into the World Cup. You guys open up at 3 a.m. to watch World Cup soccer.
We passed on that, but we do show them live or reruns as soon as they can. But yeah, 3 a.m. is a little tough.
And can we come in here during the lunch hour and watch a soap opera or something? You know, it's not all about sports, is it, Bob?
Never. We like drama. We have drama here all the time, so if you want to come in, we'll put on whatever the guests ask for.
That's right.
Now, are either or both of you have to admit this one way or the other, either or both you Bears fans?
Yeah, I am. I know Mike grew up a Dallas Cowboy fan for some reason.
Nothing wrong with that.
America's team.
Yeah, exactly.
He jumped on the
America's team.
bandwagon.
I
See,
say
I
that
suffered.
sarcastically.
Yeah, he jumped on the bandwagon.
They
of the
lost
good
their
team.
quarterback and won 4 straight.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm a
Or
Cowboys
5
fan, but then I'm also a Bears fan.
Bob, I want you to
And so this weekend, this Sunday, we have this conflict. We have the Bears against the Cowboys this Sunday.
He's
I'm
going to
just-
root for the Cowboys.
I'm rooting for a good game.
Yeah,
That's what we always
don't
say.
want to say. But
Now, Bob, I want you to take this the right way, but you look like you may have played football.
Actually, I did. I did. In high school, I tried to play in college, but I was too short.
See
I
him on
guess,
the
or
wall
too
over
slow.
there?
And I do have my picture posted
There he
up
is,
there.
right over there, Larkin.
That's me. Yeah.
Larkin.
I had a lot of hair back then, but things have changed.
Now, did the rookies in Elgin come before this rookies or no?
No, this is the original.
This is the original.
Nice. 1996, am I
Yep.
right?
Yep. So when we came here, and we decided to open a few more. And we just
For
kept
the
going.
patrons on Sunday, or for that matter, Saturday when you have 11 o'clock starts for the college games. What time are you open? So for Sunday,
11 o'clock.
11 o'clock, we
So-
open.
11 o'clock on
Game
Sunday.
started
so an hour
noon.
before game time. And
And then occasionally, I mean, rarely we could open at 10 for people want to do breakfast once in a while.
do
But
you have the customer or two that sits in there for all the whole day's worth of games?
people that watch fantasy football, sit here
Now,
and
the fantasy
fantasy
the betting,
football.
they're here. They're watching all the games, and we have all of them, so they can see things they can't see at home.
All right, now, and I'm going to bring up this first one because I know it's one of Pat's favorite restaurants. Let's talk a bit about the Karis Group's other restaurants, both here in St. Charles and in and around the Fox Valley. And I'm going to start right across the street by talking about Alexander's, where we've had many a breakfast over the course of time. And Pat's been known to sit in there, and I've seen him with a Bloody Mary in front of him. I just want to point that out.
Without the vodka, of course.
Yeah.
But
Without
yes,
the vodka.
they love me over there.
Yeah,
I'm
we
like
do.
Norm over there.
Yeah, we love all our customers.
We'll tell folks a little bit about Alexander.
Yeah, Alexander's, we've been there about 5 years now. Breakfast, lunch. It's our second Alexander's location. The original is in Elgin on Route 31. That one opened in 1987, so there's a little gap between Alexander's.
It's fair to say that you own this corner. Nobody's eating, buying a hamburger, doing anything
All I know is this.
without you.
I come across town from St. John Newman, and I asked my wife, "Do you want to go to breakfast?" Then we look at the parking lot. This is at 10 o'clock after 9 o'clock mass, and it's jammed, and I don't know if I can get a seat in there. But
It's a small parking lot, unfortunately.
yes, it is. Now we're right up the river a little bit. Let's go up to the Village Squire up in South Elgin.
South Elgin.
All right, talk about the Village Squire and some of their specialties.
The Village Squire's been, that was our first restaurant, really, the one in Dundee. My dad started that in 1974. I always worked in there as a kid. I was bussing tables and washing dishes. And, we expanded those too. There's 4 of those. The one in South Elgin is the newest one, and that's about 20 years old now. So we specialize there in Saganaki, gyros, burgers.
Yes, all the Greek specialties. You don't have to go. Let's go this way. You don't have to go to Greektown and say in Chicago to enjoy a fine Greek meal. You can get your Greek on right here in the Fox Valley.
And we got the Greek soup on Sundays. Actually, at all the locations, even here at Rookies and at Alexandria, we have the Avgolemino famous grandma soup.
Let me ask a stupid question here, Bob. Are you Greek?
I am, as is Mike.
Nice.
We both were born here. Our fathers emigrated pretty much at the same time, and they were friends in Greece. That's how we were kind of always friendly. And
So like the Italians, you guys would be cousins.
yeah, pretty much. Actually, my dad was his godfather, so we're God's brothers.
Exactly.
Is that a thing? I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yes.
We were in-laws
Look
for a
at this
while.
here. Now look
Oh,
at
this is Saganaki.
Look what we got. We have a
This is
little bit
Kaylee,
of
our famous.
Saganaki. Oh my! Oh my! Oh my!
Wow.
Dear Lord!
Wow.
Look at that.
Yeah, I know you've had Saganaki
I've
before.
had this before, yes.
It-
I'm just an
I
Irish
think
kid.
Saganaki and gyros are the best. Just
Yes.
as far as,
Thank you.
thank you.
The staff is working hard here.
That is very kind of you. Bring a little Saganaki in here.
Bob, are the
And
employees here
Rookies
unionized
All-American.
or no?
Not yet, but they've been organizing.
whispers, huh?
We've heard organizations.
All right, listen. We got one more to talk about.
All right.
How about the Old Republic?
Old Republic is a unique place. My cousin Nick Smith opened that up.
Is he a real cousin?
He is.
Okay.
He's actually married in.
Nick Smith.
So he's a
the
Smith. He's
producer
not
of
technically
the director and producer of Munger Road.
correct.
Yes. Okay.
That Nick Smith. So Smith is not the typical Greek name, but he is part Greek.
Well,
And he
listen.
married my cousin.
Not because you brought this all out. The police chief and I and our wives were at the Old Republic on a Saturday night. Prime rib was to die for.
Yep,
It really was.
That's
It was
Ream's
great.
prime rib out
It was
there.
a great prime rib, and we also were up there at another time just for your Oktoberfest. I
Thank you.
enjoyed doing the commercial. Let me just say for Pat and I both that we really appreciate your sponsorship during the last 6 months of our podcast. You've been a staple, and I really enjoyed, and I'm honored to do your commercial.
Well, we're glad you're doing them. And I know in the beginning, Kevin gave us a little flack because we wanted some live talk from the mayor.
Well, I appreciate that. So anyway, Rookies, Alexander's right across the street from Rookies. Of course, Rookies got 5 locations.
6.
6 locations.
Yeah, with a 7th coming.
Where?
Crystal Lake.
Oh, my.
Yeah, that should be open early next year.
All right. And then, like I said, mentioned Alexander's across the street. We got the Village Squire. We have Old Republic. Numerous locations throughout the Fox Valley. Quality food, good drink. And of course, the Rookies, you can't beat the sports in here.
Right. And we got
Go
our
ahead, Pat.
famous wings, which they're going to bring you soon. and you're going to eat. And we got our famous Mai Tai, of course.
Yes, the famous Mai Tais.
When you guys go national, you could be our first national sponsor.
Yeah, we could do that. Talk to my agent.
Bob and Mike, owners of Rookies All-American Sports Bar. We're going to take a small break, and when we're back, we're going to wrap it up. And while we're taking a break, we're going to have some Saganaki.
All right.
We'll be right back.
Thank
Stay
you.
tuned.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Prepare to be moved. We are the Fox Valley Auto Group. Both our Volkswagen and Buick GMC dealerships are located here in St. Charles, and we're proud to serve our community. As a recipient of the BBB Torch Award for Ethics, we are dedicated to ensuring quality first, always upholding uncompromised integrity, being customer-focused, and seeking continual improvement. Stop in today or visit our website at foxvalleyautogroup.com.
We are back here at Rookies
Prepare to be
All-American
moved.
Sports Bar in St. Charles. We have Saganaki in front of us. We have popcorn over in the corner. We got chicken wings coming. It's unbelievable. And
I can't even see my notes anymore.
well, but I think we're going to wrap this up in our last 10 minutes
Oh.
by talking a bit about the NFL, the surprise that we've seen so far, what we think, barring injury, that's your old line, barring injury, what do we think is going to happen, and then maybe a thought about tonight's game. So I'll start with, what do you think the surprises were so far?
First thing I wanted to say was Monday Night Football has always had a special place in my heart. I'm excited to be here tonight to watch a game.
Now look at this.
Oh, my goodness.
As we're wrapping this up, we have chicken wings brought to the table.
Oh, my.
Thank you so much. That's very kind.
Appreciate
And we know the producer will want a little bit of it too, and he's welcome to have some.
So,
All right.
and the Raiders, my team, very successful on Monday nights.
Yes, exactly. They showed well against the Chiefs, even though they lost.
Yeah, for teams that have played 80 or more Monday Night Football games, the Raiders are third in overall record. So that excites me as well. But generally,
But the future is now.
The future is now, and the Raiders have been bad for 20 years. But we're hoping we're turning the corner anyway.
All right, so the surprises so far in your mind in the NFL so far up to week 7.
People talk about Tom Brady and they talk about Aaron Rodgers being surprises, and I don't see it that way. I just think that given the drafts and the roster that the Packers put together, they had some wide receiver issues, and Brady is Brady, and Brady's an old man, and he's got some personal issues that may affect his play. But I'm not surprised by that at all. I am surprised by the Giants, the Eagles, the Jets, teams like that doing as well as they're doing. I'm not surprised by the Chiefs or the Bills because they have historically been on the upswing here. What about yourself?
Well, one big surprise is disappointment of the Los Angeles Rams, the defending world champions.
Yeah,
they're off to a very mediocre start at 3-3. The Bengals got going slowly, but I think they're winding into shape.
Yeah, those teams faded fast.
Super Joe is really starting to
Joe
throw the
Burrow.
ball.
He's one of my guys. I like him.
He's throwing the ball very well.
I do. Like
I would mention that. Another surprise, and this is one of those, you give them all this money and they flop, is Russell Wilson and the Broncos hearing all these boos every week now, and now he's out. I don't know whether he got injured.
He's got a little hamstring.
Well, he's got more than that.
It's like Tony La Russa had a little heart thing. They benched him, right? They put him off, and they said,
that's an
take
awful
some time.
expensive bench, in my opinion.
Right.
Well, let's get to this. So yeah, I don't disagree with you on Brady or Rodgers. This is no offense to the Packer fans out there, because I don't hate the Packers like many Bear fans do, but I think your time is up here now all of a sudden, and you're gonna have to retool like everybody else does.
Right.
The Vikings look like the class of that division.
No, that's a surprise. I think that's a surprise.
Yeah, and they played quite well. So that leads me to my next question, and that is, if we're talking about the two divisions, or two conferences, I should say, the NFC and the AFC, everybody wants to build toward the Super Bowl. How would you, let's take the NFC first of all, how would you break that down? Maybe a long shot, and then who do you think is playing in the NFC Championship game in January?
Well, the NFC South and the NFC West are just horrible conferences at this point in time. the Vikings are doing well in the North. I don't know if that's sustainable. But the NFC East has 3 teams doing quite well with the Eagles, the Giants, and the Cowboys. It may well be that all 3 playoff teams come out of there with the Vikings and the winners of the other divisions.
I wouldn't disagree with that at all. In fact, jumping in on that point, if somebody want to make a long shot bet right now for the Super Bowl to get in the Super Bowl, I'd take the Giants. That's a long shot bet. I'm not saying they're going to make it. That's a good long shot, in my opinion.
I think the Cowboys look good. They've got a great defense with Dak back. Who's to say what's going to happen with their offense? But if you can stop teams from scoring over 20 points, you're in every game.
But just for fun, if you had to name 2 teams to play in the NFC Championship, but again, it's just a guess. Basically, what would you say?
Oh, right now I'd say Cowboys and the Eagles.
Cowboys and the Eagles. I would agree with on the Eagles. In fact, Philadelphia is becoming championship city all of a sudden. And I would say the Eagles, but I would throw the Vikings in there. They look pretty solid, and they don't have as rough a. The Cowboys have got to play some tough teams. Although they have the Bears this week, so we'll discount that.
I see what you're saying, though. The NFC North is a weak division. The Vikings get to play the Packers, the Bears, and the Lions.
And they get a bye in the first week, and they only have to win 1 game to get to the NFC.
Right.
In the AFC, that's your area because you like the Raiders. That's your team.
Yeah.
So how about a long shot in that area, and then the 2 that are going to play for the championship?
I think my long shot would be the Raiders because I think they are turning the corner. They've scored more points than any other team in the league on average, and their defense is coming around. So that's my long shot. But Bills and the Chiefs right now are looking really good. And the Jets are, to me, surprising, and they're certainly going to come forward. I'm not a big Titans guy, and the Ravens and Bengals are going to fight it out. It'll be a bloodbath. So
I said on one of our earlier podcasts that I adopted the Bills as my team for the year. The reason I did that is I'm not a major Bear fan. I like the Bears. I root for the Bears. I root for them tonight. But the fact is, unlike, let's say, the White Sox, I don't live and die with the Bears. Only because I grew up a Cardinal fan, they moved out of town. And so the Bears, I don't know. And the fact that they're in rebuilding, I want to look at a team that hasn't done anything for years, 0-4 in the Super Bowl, the Buffalo Bills, and say, this is their year. So I see them Super Bowl against the Eagles. And then I'm saying right now, the Bills are your best team in the league. Josh Allen is unbelievable. And with that passing core they have and a solid defense, and with maniac fans that they have, the Bills Mafia, I can't see them being stopped. So Bills all the way.
Yeah, if it can't be the Raiders, I certainly don't want it to be the Chiefs. And I think Bills would be my team as well. I think that started in Chicago on Gallagher Way.
That may very well be
we talked to those people from Buffalo. Yeah.
Well, I met some people from Buffalo, and a few fans in this town. That game was devastating last year. The Chiefs beat them. I was in Vegas last weekend. I dropped a dime on the Bills, and I won at the wire by a point.
And so everybody knows a dime is $10,000.
Well, yeah, but my dime is closer to 10 cents than it is at $10,000.
Although we have played dimes.
Well, you do. Now, finally, as we wrap this up tonight, tonight's game.
Well, the Bears have having trouble scoring. Their quarterback is not surrounded with talent on the offensive line, so they're not going to score tonight. The Patriots have a good defense, so I'm saying New England 31, Bears 14.
So a 17-point spread. New England beats the spread, and obviously with that score, they go over the number of 40 points. All right. Well, I'm with you on the. I'm not going to give you a specific score, but I'm going to say the Pats win by at least 10 points tonight. Without question, they're going to beat the spread. If it's raining, the game will definitely stay under the 40 points. And I'm looking at the screen over there right now, and it looks like it is raining.
Or it looks a little foggy.
Susie's got a hat on over there.
Well, when you know Susie's wearing a hat, you know there's weather.
Well, Pat, let's just say this. For our First indoor live broadcast. This was pretty special.
Yeah, I had a great
And
time.
the hospitality, the welcoming we had, if I've got a little Saganaki here now, it was unbelievable. And so I'm going to, first of all, tell our audience that we've got another live broadcast coming up in a couple of weeks that you arranged. Talk about that real quick.
Kiss the Sky is a record store in Batavia. It's a wonderful place. If you haven't been there, I don't have the address off the top of my head, but it's old school vinyl records and a wonderful owner by the name of Steve.
And Steve will welcome guests down there. We'll have music trivia and a few other things.
Yes, there'll be some rock and roll.
Maybe a little music as loud as it is in here tonight. And hopefully I'll get a note from Donnie Wahlberg that says he's ready to come on. I've been begging him now for 6 months, and I think he's ready. We talked to him last week, and he said he wants to come on the podcast. So look for Donnie Wahlberg to appear in the near future.
Quite the tease.
And with that, let me close by saying again, thanks to Bob Karras, his brother Michael, and the people here at Rookies for a job well done. So, for our voice, Laura Spencer. For the mechanic himself, Kevin Ketchum. For our crafty producer and CEO of Fox Valley Magazine, Paul Stukel. And for Pat Crimmins, this is Ray Rogina saying so long. Happy Halloween to everyone. Make sure you vote on November 8th or earlier. Be safe. So long, everyone.
Well done, everybody. Bye-bye.